You may have heard that the NCAA decided to award winter athletes an extra season of eligibility. So, what exactly does that mean? I mean, this leads to so many other burning questions. And in this video, I'm going to try to answer some of those, as well as just tell you exactly what this ruling means. So, this is exactly what happened, what was said here. So, the NCAA rule makers previously allowed to allow all spring and fall athletes an extra year of eligibility, no matter what portion of the season was impacted by the pandemic. So now they're doing the same thing with winter sport athletes. The council didn't want any athletes opting to redshirt this year because of fears that their seasons might be cut short or otherwise negatively impacted by the pandemic. So this is actually, very interesting timing for wrestling, especially because of the fact that senior nationals just happened. Some athletes were able to earn a Olympic redshirt year, and now the athletes who were competing and may not have earned it there, they didn't place top 8 at senior nationals. Well, now they know that they actually can just have this year of essentially an extra year of eligibility. So this leads, like I said, to many other questions, because this season now is essentially going to be a wash. Anything can happen. The 2020-2021 season, you can think of it from a couple of different standpoints. It doesn't matter in some perspectives, but it does matter based on the trophies, the championships, the titles that are earned here. So let's answer a couple questions that come about first that pop into your head. First of all, the question that I see all over the place is, can Spencer Lee become a 4-timer now? And the answer to that question now is yes. So he had competed in 2 full seasons. I mean, technically last season would have been his 3rd full season, and that was cut short due to the pandemic and due to the NCAA championships being canceled. So he essentially lost that chance to win a 3rd title. He was, assuming that he won out the rest of his career, he would have been a 3-time NCAA champ. With this ruling now, he can compete this season, which is essentially, like I said, a wash, which that isn't counted, and win an NCAA title if he decides to compete, and which next season will actually be his, not this season, but the following season will actually be his senior year, meaning that he'll be a 4-time NCAA champion if he decides, if he ends up winning out. And, whether you like him or dislike him, which I honestly don't know that many people who actually dislike Spencer Lee. He's just a fun guy to watch wrestle, but he would be a 4-timer if he decided to, or if he won out. The next question I see is, will guys from last season get their seasons back? So these are guys like Seth Gross, Mark Hall, Vincenzo Joseph. Are they going to get their seasons back? Unfortunately, that answer is no. This ruling is only for the athletes competing for this school year. So if they're competing 2020 to 2021, they will receive their year of eligibility. Unfortunately, the guys that were very hurt, very screwed over at the end of last season will not receive an extra year of eligibility. It's a real shame. It is a real shame that was canceled, and it's honestly kind of ironic that, last season was the season that was cut short, no NCAA championships, and those athletes don't get a season. But then this upcoming year, which there actually may be an NCAA championships, those athletes are going to get an extra year. I know, it sounds very weird, but anyways, very strange. But speaking of Penn State, will they decide to redshirt their entire lineup, or at least a lot of their starters, like Aaron Brooks? Are they going to continue to redshirt Greg Kirkfleet and some of these other guys? Are they even going to let them out on the map? Because there's a rumor going around right now that maybe there might be a lot of red shirts coming for Penn State, as well as many other guys, many other teams, I should say. So first of all, addressing Penn State, Cale is a very secretive coach. That's no secret. And I think he may be building up for something big again. But other than that, Cale likes to keep his guys fresh. He doesn't like to throw guys out there just because or with the chance of them being injured. He likes to just keep them fresh, keep them training, keep them on a steady course for success. We saw that especially this past season whenever the Nittany Lions didn't attend a couple of different tournaments. But this goes for other teams too. Will other teams compete with full lineups? Will they decide to put out their best guys just because it doesn't really matter whether they wrestle this year, whether they lose or win or lose, because the season essentially they get an extra year? So there's a lot of decisions there and questions for coaches. The other burning question here is, about scholarships. Will wrestlers be able to maintain their scholarships? Because, there's only a limited amount of scholarships, and the high schoolers really aren't stopping. There are going to be more high schoolers coming in, and then you just get more and more athletes on a team. It's tough to maintain that. And yes, it was found out that this extra year will not actually count towards their scholarship count. So if these guys want to or able to wrestle another season and they are allowed to maintain their scholarship, it's not going to count towards the scholarship that the wrestling team gets. But on the other side, teams and universities don't just have an endless supply of money, especially right now during this pandemic when they're strapped for money. A lot of these teams and a lot of these universities are making cutbacks. So I don't necessarily know that all these teams are going to have a whole ton of money for scholarships to continue to give out to these wrestlers. Maybe at some of the bigger schools, maybe at the schools with a lot of money, but at some of these smaller schools, I mean, even a lot of these other schools, there are going to be a lot of potential transfers in the upcoming season, depending on where scholarships go. And speaking of guys getting scholarships and guys wrestling for a long time, the next burning question is, will Stefan Micic continue to wrestle? Oh my goodness. Micic is somebody who just, if he gets this extra year, if he decides to compete this year and then wrestle another year, he will have been competing essentially for 8 years. 8 years. That is just unbelievable to me. So he could be going for a title this season and then again another season. So, I mean, this is the Stefan Micic story. He wrestled his redshirt freshman year at Northwestern, transferred over now at Michigan. That's when he took his Olympic redshirt. Then it was his redshirt freshman season. Then he wrestled redshirt freshman season, sophomore season, junior season. Then last season he decided to take an Olympic redshirt. This upcoming year could be the year of extra eligibility. I guess I don't know if we're going to call it the Corona redshirt or whatever we're going to call it. And then he could wrestle again in his final senior season. Oh my goodness, this is just unbelievable that he's given this many opportunities. Now, my opinion is I think if he wins it this year, he may not compete another year. But we'll see. We'll see where Micic is and where he lands and where a lot of his schooling goes. Because that goes into a lot of it. And that's the one good aspect of this is it gives wrestlers an opportunity now to get their master's degree in that 5-year span. And speaking of 5 years and Stefan Micic and records being broken, and especially for the thumbnail of this video, is could we see some of the first 5-time NCAA champions, Yanni Diakomahalis, Mekhi Lewis, man, they could become 5-time NCAA champions. As well as, we could see some guys become 5-time conference champions. Looking at Aaron Brooks in the Big Ten. I mean, this is something that can legitimately happen now, that these guys have an extra year of eligibility. And I love to see this. This is so cool. We see, I mean, oh my goodness. This is going to be so cool that we could see guys potentially become 5-time national champions. Now, it is unfair. I'll be honest. It's unfair to guys who competed in previous seasons. But what about this upcoming year? What are your thoughts on this upcoming season and the NCAA's rulemaking on this eligibility? Now, thank you for my Fanco Wrestling channel members for continuing to support this channel in this video. If you're interested in becoming a channel member, I recommend you check out the link down in the description below.